Merhaba, bugün size Çanakkale Savaşları'na dair müthiş bir Anzak hikayesi anlatacağız. Ama bu hikaye bırakın Türkiye'yi, Avustralya'da bile çok az biliniyor. Eğer hazırsanız Sudaki İzler başlıyor. ...25 Nisan 1915. Avustralya denizaltısı AE2, karanlık ve akıntılı sularda yalnız başına ilerliyor. Marmara'ya açılan dar boğazı geçmek için Türk mayınlarıyla dolu bir labirentin içinde.
This is really an extraordinary piece of Australian history. It's almost totally unknown.
Anzak askerleri tepelerde çarpışırken AE2 Çanakkale Boğazı'ndaki bir gemiyi torpiller. Sahilleri bombalayan Türk savaş gemisini kaçırır ve Türk kuvvetlerini Gelibolu'ya taşıyan gemilere saldırır.
Gallipoli is always known to Australians for an army campaign, but it's a little known fact that the Australian Navy were here, and actually these guys, the crew of AE2, were the first in combat that day.
AE2 5 gün daha Marmara Denizi'nde çarpıştı. Ta ki gövdesi Sultanhisar torpido botu tarafından vurulana kadar.
We know the men were hanging onto the pipes for dear life. You know, every time they popped out of the water, Turkish shells were being fired at them. Harrowing experience.
AE2 artık dalamaz. Gemi komutanı Yüzbaşı Darkstalker, mürettebatına gemiyi terk emri verir. Türklerin eline geçmesin diye de denizaltısını batırır. Denizaltının 32 kişilik mürettebatını Ali Rıza Bey komutasındaki Sultanhisar torpido botunun denizcileri esir aldı. Ve bu olaydan geriye 73 metre derinlikte yatan AE2 denizaltısı kaldı. Çünkü Sultanhisar torpido botu 1928 yılında hizmet dışına ayrıldı ve ne yazık ki 1935 yılında hurdacılar tarafından söküldü. ...2014'te uzman bir ekip toplanır. 100 yıl boyunca deniz dibinde karanlıkta kalmış AE2'nin içini görmek için özel ekipmanlarla sahaya dönerler.
I think the story of the AE2 has been forgotten, buried too long, buried in the depths of the sea at Marmara.
It is the silent Anzac. It's the part of Anzac that people don't know about. It's the part of Anzac that story needs to be told. ...25 Nisan 1915 sabahı Arıburnu'ndaki Türk direnişi bu kıyılara çıkarma yapan Anzakları durdurmuştu. Askerlerine taarruzu değil ölmeyi emreden Mustafa Kemal Anzakları denize dökmeye kararlıydı. Akın üstüne akın düzenleyen Türk savaşçıları Anzakları kıyı başlarına kadar indirdi. Gece yapılacak ani bir baskın harekatı Anzakları çok zor duruma koyacaktı. Bu durumdan çekinen Anzaklar başkomutanları Ian Hamilton'dan geri çekilmeyi talep ettiler. Hamilton durumu değerlendirirken AE2 denizaltısının Marmara'ya geçtiği haberini aldı. Ve Anzaklara bulundukları yerde siperlenerek savaşa devam etmeleri emrini verdi. AE2 denizaltısı Arıburnu'ndaki binlerce Anzak ve Türk askerinin kaderini belirlemişti. AE2 kayıptı. 1997'de Türk sualtı araştırmacısı Selçuk Kolay tarafından 3,5 yıllık bir araştırma sonucu keşfedilene kadar 73 metre derinlikte yatıyordu.
Bozuk havalarla boğuştuk. Bozuk elektronik cihazlarla veya bozulan elektronik cihazlarla boğuştuk. Çıktığımız teknelerde çeşitli teknik arızalar yaşadık. Dolayısıyla buluncaya kadar epey bir macera geçirdik. Markaladık batığı ve ilk defa dalacağız. Tesadüfen de attığımız malya işaretleme demiri tam sancak tarafında E sınıfı denizaltılar için çok karakteristik olan sancak makinenin egzoz borusunun yanına düşmüş. Onun o kadar karakteristik bir şekli vardır ki bu bir tek E sınıfı denizaltılarda vardır. Ve tam onun yanına indiğimi gördüm ve artık %500 emindim o olduğundan. Yanımdaki arkadaşlara döndüm ve bulduk işaretini yaptım.
Ertesi yıl Mark Spencer ve Tim Smith yönetimindeki Avustralyalı bir araştırma ekibi batığı yerinde incelemek için Selçuk Kolay'a katıldı.
The last expedition was really an external survey, so we wanted to get an idea of the state of the craft from outside, how it sat in the environment, was it buried in the silt, how much. This time we're going to look inside the submarine, and that will give us such an insight into the corrosion rates, how long it might survive, what we can do to safeguard the site into the future.
Hem Türk hem de Avustralyalı uzmanlar AE2'nin çıkarılmadan korunması gerektiği konusunda hemfikirler.
We don't want to remove it from the environment it's in. It is most stable and most protected where it lies, here in the Sea of Marmara, in the environment where it sank almost 100 years ago.
Denizaltıyı gözlemlemek çok önemli. Bunun için Avustralyalı bilim adamları ileri teknoloji ürünü kameralar ve uzaktan kumandalı araçlar geliştiriyor.
I think we're pushing the barriers. We're trying to get instrumentation and cameras inside this submarine 73 meters down and bring all the records back up to the surface. We're pushing the barriers.
Avustralya'daki bilim adamları ve mühendisler AE2'nin orta bölümünün birebir kopyasını inşa ettiler. Bu maket risk analizlerinin yapılmasını sağlayacak.
What we've tried to do, of course, is replicate the submarine as she was built, and we've been working off the original builder's drawings, which are magnificent, of course. They're more than 100 years old, and they've got all the detail on them that allowed us to recreate this.
Yüzbaşı Stoker'ın bıraktığı şekilde kumanda kulesi kapağı açık inşa edilen kule ilk testlere tabi tutuluyor. Sonraki testler Avustralya'da Korya koyunda 12 metre derinlikte gerçekleştirilecek. Projenin başarısı belli şartlara bağlı. Özel üretim kamera boşluğa sığmalı ve düzgün çalışmalı.
It's very confined inside, so there is absolutely no way we want to put a diver inside because the risk of getting tangled up is too great. So we have to overcome that by using instrumentation and cameras and remote vehicles to carry the cameras.
What the aim is to bring the ROV through the hatch and then get to each position, probably 1 or 2 meters at a time, and then do a circuit to get a complete survey of what's inside.
Avustralya donanma dalgıçları yardımıyla sorunlar tespit ediliyor ve çözümler üretiliyor.
We've had some trials and tribulations, and that's why they call them trials, but we've learned a lot. We've done a number of iterations of each of the activities, and each time, the second time has been, we've run through, we've saved time, so we are learning and we are improving each time it goes through.
So it's a 4K camera with autofocus, and it's fully controllable remotely.
Marmara'da AE2'ye dalış yapacak Türk ekibi de gözlem yapmak ve fikirleri alınmak üzere Avustralya'ya geliyor.
We are checking the preparations and if there is any feedback we can do. So this is going to give us a look ahead on what we are going to be facing.
Tam olarak neyle karşılaşacaklarından emin olmak çok zor. Koryo denemeleri önemli bir tecrübe. Ancak daha fazlasına ihtiyaç var. AE2'ye dalmadan önce Türk dalgıçlar son bir deneme daha yapacaklar. Ve bu dalış batağa çok daha yakın bir yerde gerçekleşecek. Avustralya'da olduğu gibi Türkiye'de de yapılacak çok iş var.
Less than a week ago, this deck was empty. We then began a 4-day mobilisation period with Deep bringing on the containers and setting up the workshops, the recompression chamber. All that has been brought onto the ship. We're now on day 2 of a 3-day rehearsal. So we're practicing with the Turkish diving team using the equipment.
Provalar başarıyla tamamlandığında ekip kuzeye, Şarköy'deki üssüne doğru yola çıkacak. Bu kasaba AE2'ye sadece 8 deniz mili uzaklıkta.
Excited is a very, very good word to describe my feelings at the moment. You know, this is a culmination of a lot of very hard work by a lot of people. And we've put a lot of resource and effort into this, so it's, we're ready to go.
Görevin ilk aşaması AE2'yi bulmak.
We had positioned the ship on this otherwise empty ocean, put a marker buoy in based on my GPS, and then manoeuvred the ship to lay 4 buoys around that single point. And I must say, at the end of that, as we attached the ropes and brought the ship back alongside that buoy, I wondered what will happen if I'm wrong. And so it was really quite a moment for me when we put the remote vehicle down and sent it off on that bearing 20 metres, 30 metres, and there was the submarine. There it is, the first sighting for this expedition. This is AE2. We've got the ballast tanks with fishing lines and growth on the fishing lines, looks rather spectacular. And this is a light superstructure on the top of the submarine covering pipes and valves. It's got quite a lot of damage, as you can see, from fishing nets. And this is why we want to put a buoy on top of it to stop fishing boats and trawlers coming too close. This is the conning tower hatch. It's the way we're going to get the cameras and the ROVs into the submarine. It's the main access hatch. It's where the crew evacuated the submarine in 1915. The last man out was Stoker, and he has turned the 2 securing clips that pull the hatch down upwards and rested the hatch on the clips so that air will come out and the water will go in and the submarine will be sunk. So he's deliberately done that to avoid the submarine being captured by the Turks.
Submarines are such a fascinating object in their own right. They're an amazing design, amazing technology. And for us as archaeologists, they're absolutely wonderful because they're time capsules. They are so strongly built, they survive really well underwater. And for that reason, all the technology, all the information, all the clues are still inside that structure. We just got to unlock them.
AE2'nin dış yüzey incelemesi tamamlanınca sıra dalış platformunu kuleye indirmeye geliyor.
We're trying to position a 1.5 ton diver support platform precisely around, lower it down and position it precisely around the conning tower, sitting on the ballast tanks. That provides a working platform for the divers for everything else. So without that platform, we can't proceed.
Kötü hava koşulları işleri zorlaştırıyor. Platformun yerine sabitlenmesi 2 tam gün alıyor. Zaman gizli bir düşmana dönüşmüş durumda. Zaman para demek. 2010 günde tamamlaması gereken 30 dalış, inceleme ve koruma görevleriyle dolu zorlu bir takvim var. Dalgıç platformu yerine yerleştirildikten sonra sahneyi AE2'nin içine girecek ilk kamera alıyor.
Erkan, bir sıkıntı var mı?
Lastiği takmayı unutma.
Dalgıçlar açık çant sistemi kullanarak dalıyor. Sistem bir asansör gibi çalışarak dalgıçları yaklaşık 5 dakikada batağa indiriyor. AE2 sportif dalış limitlerinden çok daha derinde. Dalgıçlar bu derinlikte soluyacakları helyum ve oksijen gaz karışımını yüzeyden onlara pompalayan bir nargile sistemiyle dalış yapıyor. Her dalışta dipte sadece 20 dakika kalabilirler. Bu nedenle işler önceden titizlikle planlandı.
En son aldığım hangisiydi onu göstereceğim.
This first examination is a least disturbance. We just put a drop camera carefully in the space without disturbing anything at all. That's just to get an idea of the water quality, what we're going to see, how we're going to drive the vehicles at the next stage when we put vehicles into that space and fly through the submarine.
Kamera, kumanda kulesi kapağının açıklığından sığacak şekilde tasarlandı. Yine de denizaltının içine ulaşmak kolay olmayacak. Daha önceki bir araştırmada kapak aralığı 12 santimetre olarak ölçülmüştü. Ama değil, kamera sığmıyor.
Yeah, look, it was a little bit disappointing, but it was always a risk. We only basically had a hand as a dimension. We knew it was approximately 4 to 5 inches apart. We went for 4 inches, and it's still too tight. But look, it's an obstacle that's further and deeper into the hatch that we hadn't been able to see from the previous footage we had. That's just a risk you have to take.
Sonraki dalışta bir çözüm bulunuyor. Ancak bu araştırmayı daha da geciktiriyor.
Basically, the divers went down and did a clean up around the hatch. They took down a grinding system and they ground away 2 latches that actually were keeping the hatch down. They were able to basically lift the hatch around 3 centimetres, and that'll allow the drop camera to go in quite well.
The camera is in.
Absolutely spectacular moment. For the first time really in 99 years we've got good, high quality, high definition camera and instrumentation into the submarine.
There we are. We're in the control room. Yeah, that's clearer.
That's the steering engine on the port side. So you're turning up and out.
You can see some of the shell on the ladder there. Gauges there for that. So we've gone through the chute into the main control room space. You can see the ladders quite clearly, the gauges on the side of the submarine's walls, a whole lot of detail we've never seen before.
That instrumentation down the side there is just...
And seeing the big gauges on the... fabulous.
It's beautiful.
Well done.
It's brilliant.
Yeah,
Thank
well
you.
done. Yeah, well done.
In addition to the work inside the submarine that we've been talking about, we have to mount 3 cathodic protection pods. 1 right forward, 1 midships and 1 aft.
If you put a 650 tonne of mixed metals on the seabed, it effectively becomes a giant battery. The currents that generates as it interacts with the seawater causes corrosion, causes rust. By putting these anodes on the submarine, that negates the effect of those currents, so it actually stops corrosion.
And to do that we have to clean the area off with divers and then attach electrical connections, wires, to the clean areas. And each of those will take 2 diving serials. So we have enough time to get everything done that we've planned, but it's tight. There is not much spare now, and if we encounter unexpected difficulties, we'll have to make some priority calls on what we can do.
Amerikan şirketi Seabotics bu araştırma için A2'nin orijinal planlarına bakarak uzaktan kumandalı bir araç geliştirdi.
The ROV team are really itching to get into the submarine. They've modified 2 ROVs, so they've changed the shape of a standard ROV so it'll fit down the circular conning tower and through the hatch below. They've added high definition imaging sonar and a high definition camera, so it's a very tailored ROV for the purpose, and they've actually changed the thrusters to low power thrusters so it won't stir up so much sediment.
ROV'lar A2'nin içine girmeden önce kaporta kapağının açılması gerekiyor. Fakat bu tahmin edilenden daha uzun sürüyor ve değerli dalış süresi yine boşa harcanıyor.
The old girl doesn't give up her secrets too easily, I can tell you. We used a jack to open the hatch, which worked very, very well. Got the hatch open, and then we went to recover the jack using a lifting line, and it's caught in underneath the jumping wire, which runs between the two periscope standards, and it's jammed itself between that and the top of the conning tower. So it's well and truly caught now. So yet another little thing, but you know, another thing that we'll overcome.
Kriko sıkıştığı yerden çıkarılırken ekip batığın derinliklerine ulaşmak için diğer ekipmanları hazırlamaya başlıyor. Uzaktan kumandalı cihazlarını özel olarak tasarlanmış bir sisteme bağlıyorlar. Bu direk vasıtasıyla rovu kumanda kulesinden aşağıya indirip kablosunu da kontrol edebilecekler.
Okay, so that's taut now. You're about 30 meters off.
Gergin bir bekleyiş hakim. HD kamera zor sığdı ama içeri girdiğinde kumanda kulesinin muhteşem görüntülerini yakalıyor.
One of the most important historical connections with the AE2 is that famous radio message that got out when it finally broke through the defences of Çanakkale and got through the Dardanelles Strait. Made that famous radio call across the peninsula to the Gallipoli beachhead. We've got through, the Australian submarines got through the Narrows. We've got the opportunity perhaps to see the equipment that sent that radio message, that famous message. Up in the conning tower there's a coil of wire, it looks like aerial wire. Almost like a jerry-rigged bit of kit. Was that the aerial that they got that famous message out? You know, did they race up onto the conning tower, string this wire out, connect it to the telegraphy system and send that message out across the Gallipoli beachheads? It's amazing to see that we might actually be looking at that bit of equipment.
Rovu aşağıya göndermeden önce direği platforma sabitlemek gerekiyor. 73 metre derinlikte ustalık isteyen bir operasyon. Fakat tamamlanamadan dalgıçların zamanları doluyor. Batığın içine girilmesine fırsat vermeyen bir dalış daha.
20 minutes underwater just goes so fast and we got so close. They're really waiting on every word back at base. They want to know what we've come up with. But again, unfortunately, I had to ring through and say tomorrow's a day. We'll get there though.
Yaşanan gecikmeler programı ciddi şekilde aksatıyor.
But the big message is we've actually got a measured number of dive serials left, and we really have to start focusing on that and try and find chances where we can do things in parallel. We can't keep going serial here, or we'll run out of time.
Sonraki gün daha çok sorun, daha çok zaman kaybı getiriyor. Uzaktan kumandalı cihaz alttaki kapaktan geçerken sıkışıyor. Bir sonraki dalışta geçmesi için zorlanıyor. Ancak daha da sıkışıp takılıyor. Ne denizaltıdan içeri giriyor ne de dışarı çıkıyor.
Circumstances have conspired against us. The vehicle just went in at the wrong orientation and fouled on something. Perhaps something that's not shown in the plans, which we worked off in designing the system.
Bunca strese rağmen ekip bir çözüm üretmeyi başarıyor. Bir kakıcın ucuna sualtı kamerası ve dalgıç feneri bantlıyorlar. Yüzeyde 73 metre derinlikten alınan canlı görüntüleri izleyerek dalgıcın rova kancayı takması ve kurtarması için yönlendiriyorlar.
We're starting to run up against the deadline of the number of dives that we've got available to ourselves. So we're having to start to think laterally and think, well, how can we get results that we need to get in a much reduced set of available dives?
En büyük problem zamansızlık. Gerginlikler ve hayal kırıklıkları yüzünden artık bütün proje risk altında.
You know, it's extremely frustrating. We made every effort to try to avoid this sort of thing happening, but that's working at sea. That just happens when you work at sea.
2 yıl süren dikkatli planlama ve provalardan sonra ekibin A2'ye girebilmek amacıyla yeni bir strateji geliştirmesi için sadece 24 saati var.
What we're proposing to do now is to replace that vehicle with a much smaller vehicle. One that's a little less capable, but one that's much smaller, and we believe that we have a much better chance of getting that through the hull.
Tamam, konuşabilirsin.
Kancayı sağ yöne doğru çevir. Biraz tamam, hop, tamam, stop, böyle kal.
Oh, look at that. That is awesome. That's brilliant.
Okay, cheers. Righto, the ROV is inside. They've just freed it from the pole, taken it down, and they're just setting off to go and explore.
Wow.
Yes.
The state of play is that we have the ROV inside the submarine, and the imagery is just unbelievable. It's incredible.
Fantastic news.
Honestly, I couldn't be happier. At the end of the time here, we've pretty well done everything we set out to do. So that's something really special, given that we had hard deadlines that couldn't be stretched, and we always knew that we were going to be pushing the boundaries. We're very happy. I'm very happy. There should be 3 sets of wheels there, 2 of the Kingston valves and 1 for the ballast pump control. We actually built a 3D model right from the midships torpedo space right through up to the end of the wardroom. Basically, I had the model in front of me, and as we operated the remotely operated vehicle, I'd move with the model so that we knew where we were and we could actually correlate the imagery that we were getting. So that's that. When we finally got the remotely operated vehicle into the submarine, this is the exact location where it sat, and this is essentially the first view that we saw. You'll see here that there are 3 wheels. We could see those 3 wheels bang on, perfect, exactly where we expected them. We had no information on what additional instrumentation was around this part of the boat, and in fact there's a wealth of dials and gauges here.
We only know so much from the historic plans of the submarine. There's no photographs of AE2 inside, so it's very hard to get a sense of how complex a place it was. And the vision we're seeing now is just breathtaking. You can get a real sense of how packed that space is. It's just full of machinery, full of equipment.
The outcome, I think, has been spectacular. We've got some extremely interesting internal shots. I found the footage of the helmsman position quite grabbing. The voice pipe where the helm orders come down from the bridge and his wheel, it's all still there. The switchboard with its wooden bars to stop the operator falling onto the live switchboard, and these big knife switches that they would have used. That's the sort of picture you don't get from a set of drawings. The periscope, now with its wires broken and collapsed into its well, but still basically in position. The same instrument that Stoker used to fire his torpedo, try and hit the mine layer as he came up through the Narrows. So it's these sort of physical examples that bring the real story to life for you, I think, as you look at them.
So this is the officer's boardroom. This is the port side of the submarine. You'll see here there's a writing desk. That was the commanding officer's writing desk. In front of it was the chart locker. There's a table, and at the forward end of the wardroom was the hatchway that led through the bulkhead into the forward torpedo room. There was a chest of drawers, and there were cupboards, and there was a slide-out bunk for the commanding officer.
It's really exciting to see the timber work inside the submarine. In the wardroom here, it's just so intact. The timber work, beautiful teak or mahogany from the specification guides, but just so well preserved in this environment, and really a personal touch to how the submarine was set out, how it was fitted out to enable the crew to live and work in what was a massive machinery. What a surprise to see above Captain Stoker's writing desk this beautiful light fitting, a fluted light, glassware. It doesn't look Navy issue. Maybe it's to make it a homely touch. It's just amazing to see. It's not what you expect.
The bedding, the bed, the mattress, it's there, but it's disintegrated, and all of the material from that mattress is lying in that space, which makes it very challenging for us to drive the remotely operated vehicle, because we disturbed it and it formed a snowstorm essentially. On that desk was an inkwell and a cut glass decanter.
That's just remarkable. We're seeing an upturned table leg. You wonder if that's from the wrecking process as AE2 crash dived, or perhaps the crew purposely turned it over so they could get through the space and didn't have to climb around a table. But it's telling us perhaps some real clues to how they operated the boat.
So it's a very satisfying conclusion. We've demonstrated that it can be done. People who now may want to come after us and do further internal analysis have got a much better starting point for doing that. And I think it'll be an example elsewhere in the world of getting inside a shipwreck like a wrecked submarine. We will hand all our work over to the National Maritime Museum, who are very enthusiastic, so they will take over the work that we've been doing in years to come. People will still be able to see this marvellous relic and really a symbol to tell the story of a bunch of brave Englishmen and Australians who fought their way through the Narrows.
We'd always aimed to tell the story through the archaeology, but also to preserve and protect AE2. We've now managed to really do that with the placement of the cathodic protection on the site, the marker buoys on the surface to ward off shipping and accidental impacts to the site. AE2 is now much safer. It's preserved. It will stay intact a lot longer through these measures. And the story that it and its crew can tell will remain, and we can continue to explore this site and really capture that amazing period back in the First World War and the remarkable story of this submarine campaign and Australia's part in it.
...73 metre derinlikte yürütülecek bir dalış operasyonunun risklerinden bahsetmeye hiç gerek yok. Sadece o derinlikte bulunmak bile bir insanın her bir santimetre karesine yaklaşık 8,5 kilo ekstra ağırlık yükler. Hele bir de denizaltının içerisine girmek. Anzakların torunlarını cesaret ve kararlılıklarından öte atalarına olan bağlılık ve saygılarından ötürü tebrik etmemek imkansız.
This little submarine has a habit of getting under people's skin. In my case, I've spent almost 10 years working on this model. I've been over here twice to do surveys of the submarine. Spent a huge amount of time in it, to the point where my wife at one time commented that, when middle-aged men, if they have a midlife crisis, sometimes they go out and find themselves a mistress. And she said, in most cases that mistress isn't 100 years old, weighs 700 tonne and lives on the bottom of the sea.